How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? Welcome to the 4th of October, which is today's sound design sessions. Face off with 3 synths, 1 pad. Serum versus Pigments versus, and I had never heard of this one till today, Sektor from Initial Audio, I think. Yeah, how's everyone doing? Let us know where you're tuning in from. Some people have been here for a while. Bishop91, very committed. That's great to see. It's good to see that you're interested. Drummy, Gaio, what's good? MV Beckham, as always. Hello from Minnesota. Oh, lovely part of the world, Kyle Gray. Lovely. Blaze FM, I forgot about Sektor. Yeah, I've spent a while with it today, and honestly, I hadn't really heard of it till today. But it's really, really great. Love the interface. It's quite a simple interface and just easy to create sounds versus Pigments, which has certainly got a lot more going on. So I can certainly see the appeal for someone who's an absolute novice but wants to get in wavetables. But still, you could easily make some great sounds with it. Boston, Massachusetts. Hey Paul, thanks for tuning in. Nice to have you here. Let us know if you guys have any of these. I'm pretty sure everyone probably has Serum. I know more people are getting Pigments now, but yeah, I'd never heard of Sektor. Really, really cool. It's in the link in the description. So we're going to be exploring 3 synths, 1 pad. We're going to be trying to create the same pad across all 3, and I'm going to pull up my EQ and see how the main thing that will differentiate, I think, between these synths is the quality of the waveforms. Excuse me. Just to see if the waveforms compare across all 3 in terms of are they pure sine waves or have they got harmonics, etc., etc. And the best way to do that is to pull up. I think Studio One has a scope, which might be really nice to view it. Hey MV Beckham, nice to see you. Oh, you have all 3? Awesome, that's great. Well, hopefully you can follow along and maybe you can reignite some sparks with, because some people are saying they have, this one. Only Pigments, we missed the Serum boat. I think if you have Pigments, there's it's hard to say. I'd say the only reason to grab Serum if you have Pigments already is you seem to get more preset packs for Serum still, even though Pigments has been around for a good 4 years or something. But Pigments, there's no denying it. I do think Pigments is the strongest synth out of the 3, but strong doesn't always mean best, So, nice to have you all here today. I am Brent March. I'm a composer, producer, sound designer from the northernmost part of England. I host these on a Monday. If you're not already familiar, I'd imagine most of you are. So it's great to see a couple of new names here. Make sure to hit the bell icon. There's more streams throughout the week. And yeah, if you like this sort of stuff, there's an entire playlist of sound design sessions that goes back for a good while now. So we're actually going to start off today. Oh yeah, Vital. Someone just said Vital. I can't forget how Vital is a fantastic. You really want to know how Vital works? Well, we have one on the live stream sound design playlist, which I think I covered Vital on a month or 2 back. I can't quite remember. Yes, we are live. Hello. Apologies if I pronounce your name wrong. Min Thang Tran. Apologies if I'm pretty sure that's probably wrong. So to start off today, though, we're going to just have a little 5-10 minutes exploring something brand new in ye old Sample Manager, which is not old at all. It's pretty much brand new. So ADSR have just put out their very first drop. So it's a free collection of sounds, and it's completely exclusive to the Sample Manager. So if you haven't already got the Sample Manager and you've been somewhat living under a rock, I would go and download it now. There'll be a link somewhere floating around in the description, or either I'll be able to chuck one into the chat. But the drops, as you can see, we've got our first drop here, a limited drop called Bones Thrilling Sound Effects. So let's see how we can get them. All you have to do is once you've downloaded the ADSR Sample Manager, you can use it either in standalone or you can use it in your DAW. And then you want to go to the account panel on the side and go to the sort of cloud icon, which is the account panel. Log yourself in. If you don't have a login, you can even create a login right here inside of the Sample Manager. You don't have to lever, which is really nice. And then, as we can see, we have our first drop here in the panel. And basically, all of these sounds are completely free. There's no sort of hidden costs here whatsoever, which is really, really awesome. And all you have to do is you have to click on the cover, and then it'll show you the sounds that are in said drop. And I'll just pull down the gain ever so slightly. And let's have a little exploration. So I'm just pulling the waveform up here so you can see a bit more. So these sounds are all tagged. I think we covered this a couple of weeks ago. They're all tagged. And you even get key information for them. And all of this is also provided free. And what you want to do is, if you want to download all of them, you can download them all, or you can download them individually. And as you can see, it's 167 hours, 53 minutes. It's roughly about just under a week. So you've got about a week to grab these sounds completely free on the Sample Manager. Yes, this is in the Sample Manager Bishop 91. I'm sure it'll be there right now if you go into your account on the account panel. So you can preview them and you can make edits here. I know we've covered this before, so I won't go too much in depth, but really cool feature. And I think we'll be seeing a lot more from drops. Who knows, I might end up... we've been doing quite a few... Oh my goodness, my words this week. We've been doing quite a few presets these past couple of weeks. For anyone who's missed out, there's free Arturia SQ80V presets, and there's some free Serum presets from last week. And these end up on the Discord server because that's the best way for us to host the presets. But when it comes to creating loops and sounds, they'll be dropping on the drops most of the time. So go and check out this drop from the very first one on the account panel. And, you know, there's not really much you can grumble about for free sounds that sound this good. So I hope that you guys get something out of that. If you have any questions at all, please let us know. I'm quite the ADSR Sample Manager guru now after I've used it religiously since the latest launch. So yeah, let me know if there's anything that you want to know. And obviously here's packs below that I've downloaded. These are not drops, by the way, but these will be added to the drops account. Hey Hydrotech. Oh no, internet problems. Absolutely love Pigments, like you said. It's definitely super powerful. I use it on 70. Yeah, it's super powerful. It honestly is. If you really have deep sound design dreams and you want to create seriously rich and unique sounds, then I hate to say it, but Pigments does trump Serum in that respect. It's got more filters, it's got absolutely tons more features now, you know, with stuff like the granular, but then you have within the additive engine, and yes, Serum does have an additive engine, even though it's not clearly as labeled. You've got loads of things like cluster, shepherds, like all these little effects, but like I said, we'll find out if that's actually beneficial in this stream. So I'm going to go back to Sektor here. I'm just 1 second, guys. I'm just trying to get some... I've just realised my live stream audio has decided to have fun today. Playback device. Live stream audio. Okay, hopefully people can hear this now. So yes, before, just while I'm there, just to quickly showcase you some of the sounds here. So here is some of the sounds that are in this Bones. Just to give you a little showcase. Quite fitting with this time of year. If you want some even more gritty sounds, I did the Wraiths pack this year for ADSR, which has got some really cool sounds on it. But honestly, I would grab these because these are fantastic for free stuff. So we've got a lot of Foley in here, and I can imagine you can make some really cool beats using some of these. Oh wow, this is great. So there you go, there's a bit of an expose of what we get with Bones thrilling sound effects. I'm noticing we're going to get rolling now with stuff, but people saying the internet is mental today. I noticed that Facebook and Instagram was sort of down before as well, so let's pray to God that YouTube and YouTube, Twitch and stuff and stays live. I'm not sure if this is being hosted on Facebook, but hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's all good. So let's get going then. So we're going to start off by creating basically one pad amongst all three here. So we're going to give, I love the description here. It's basically a much better way than I could have described it. But basically, the goal of today's session is to see how different tools can accomplish similar tasks, but how they can create unique and original sounds. So essentially, 1 pad, 3 different VSTs. Essentially, I'm going to just create the same pad, and I'm going to show you what one can do that the other can't, etc., etc. So, Sektor. Honestly, really blown away by how good this thing is. I've never heard of it. Whether that's my own fault or just hasn't been quite as blown up in terms of Pigments and Serum, who knows? But anyway, this is our initial sound. Hopefully this is loud enough. I think, yeah. Oh yeah, good level. So, let's create a simple part to start off with, and we can have a look. Also, in terms of the layout of initial audio, I really like what they've done here. Straight away, the one thing that I always complain about, save me from going dark on text. I think, honestly, personally, I think Sektor might be the best out of the three of them in terms of the initial learning curve. I just think it's really easy to understand. Basically, the layout of things is really nice and simple. I think Pigments has a really intuitive way of showing you modulation and stuff, but it can seem a little bit overwhelming at times, if you know what I mean. Like, for example, all these different mod points here, people might not even understand what a modulation point is. And just to see them moving like this, it just can feel a little bit like overwhelming. In the Sektor, I just feel like they've really, it's really nailed it in terms of the UI, the GUI. So we have envelope here with our main ADSR. We've just got one envelope from what I can see. We've got our master section, and we have a nice overdrive control before. I believe that's pre, not post. Then one thing that I've always wanted from Serum is a second filter. And as you can see, we only have the one filter. We can send multiple oscillators, the sub, the noise, A and B, to the filter, but we don't get that second filter. I don't think we'll ever see that update, sadly. So we got two oscillators here with different types and different slopes as well, which is all pretty customary stuff, but good to see. And then in our oscillator section, if we click on edit, we've got some really great, I can see inspiration, let's be honest, from Serum here. But I do believe that Initial Audio's Sektor is quite a bit cheaper than any of the other two. Again, there's a link below where you can find out more and grab it on the ADSR site, but I do believe it's slightly cheaper and perhaps even on good deals occasionally. So here we can basically design our own waveforms, which is awesome. And we can also normalize, so we can get them to basically 0 dB or thereabouts. And we can view our waveforms as well, which is really good for understanding harmonics and how things work in terms of timbres. And then we've also got the grid size, which we can change, and which renders it at a higher quality, but leaving it on 8x8 is absolutely fine. Wow, this is on sale for $39. I just can't, when you think how much this must have cost to develop and create, like I know how much, not just money, but time goes into developing a plugin. $39 is just like, that's really, really good. So, as you can see, you can edit the oscillators, but also if you click on here, you can just preview the oscillators, select one as such. We've got some similar controls that you've seen before on the likes of Serum, voices, we detune them here. We can send them into, I really like this. This is a nice way to do it, is you can send oscillator 1 into filter 2 or filter 1, or you can split the ratio. So that's really cool, actually. We got a detune. We can load a wavetable, which I wasn't sure if you could do, but turns out you can, which is awesome. I always think if you're going to do a wavetable, you need to make it that people can load their own waveforms, which is awesome. So basically, we got oscillator 1, oscillator 2. I think that's really, really easy to understand. Then we've got, again, we're seeing sort of similar things across all these synths here, but we've got a sub oscillator. That basically is our oscillator that we're going to pitch down below the other two oscillators. And then we have our noise oscillator. And again, I think you could probably load your own samples into the noise oscillator. I really like the sample color control as well. And again, we can pitch that at different ranges. We got our macro controls, which just make our life easier for performance or controlling automation. And like I said, filter and envelope on the side. Then all of our mod stuff is tucked away, so I feel like it's not as invasive. So I personally prefer that for a beginner. but again, you can craft up really, really powerful sounds here. In this, you haven't got this sort of overwhelming visuals of loads of things wiggling, squiggling, and going all over the place. They're sort of tucked away, but they are super easy to understand. Basically, you've got an ADSR down here, you've got envelope 1 and envelope 2. This is your main VCA, but basically you can apply this as a mod point to a destination so simply by just simply going here. And in many ways, I don't know, I sort of prefer that rather than drag and drop. I don't know about you guys, but drag and drop can seem a little bit hard at times because every developer has a different way of doing drag and drop. Then we've got mod envelope 1, 2, and 3, which is really, really good. So basically these are like custom breakpoint envelopes, and again, super simple to apply our destinations and negative or positive values to that modulated place. LFO1, LFO2, and again, we can create our own LFO shapes. Really great way of drawing in wavetable LFO shapes and wavetables inside of Sektor. I was going to say Spector. And then, yes, another LFO 3 and 4, so plenty of stuff. And then you've got your global mod matrix where you can see where things are once you've assigned them. Got a portamento down here, like we've seen from Serum. Voice control for the polyphony probably goes up to 24, yeah. I'll just take this back down to 6. So, pretty nice and simple and easy to use. Then this bit in the middle here is what makes Sektor different. Rather than a drop-down menu, we've got a browser right in the middle. We've got a sequencer, which is really quite nice as well. We've got patterns that come with the sequencer as well. We've got our oscillators again, where we can see them and draw them in here, which is really nice. The effects, which was quite surprised by the way, with the reverb. And then settings, you can change the skin colors, which honestly were really quite nice. So, with all that out the way, I think this is the only synth that people might not have came across as much. We will go over the others a tad, but let's just create our first initial sound. So what I'll do is go back to, I'll just show you got absolutely tons of presets here, as you can see. But let's just go back to an initialized preset. And basic analog filter. Let's go for a sine wave and a sine wave here, and I'll go back to the oscillator section, increase the voices to edit each note. So I'm going to try and make every single synth the same pad to begin with. So we'll start off with sine waves, basic analog sine wave. We could go in and make this a lot more interesting later on, but let's hear the quality, the difference between them, because is there a reason something's really cheap? Let's find out. So voices. And I need to turn my second oscillator on, and they both have a filter here. I'm going to roll off a tiny bit more of the top end, but let's face it, sine waves haven't got much harmonics anyway. Let's pitch one of these up. So let's pitch it up 12. I'll get there eventually, my goodness. Okay. I'm going to bring that cut off up actually. Okay, filter 1, filter 2, send them both to filter 1 for now. Let's increase, so we got the voices on here. I think they're both at the same level. Pretty straightforward to begin with here. Just waking my monitor up. Let's shape the LFO a bit. Get us a fade in. Long release and longer decay. And we can zoom in on the waveform as well, which is really nice. Okay, it's just about as basic as you can possibly get in terms of a pad. So let's just literally do exactly the same thing now in Serum. So in Serum you need to go to analog, and you need to go to basic shapes. So just for those of you who haven't seen Serum, which honestly I can't believe, but we have a very similar layout to what we've seen on Sektor. Pigments is a little bit different, but we got our oscillator 1 and 2, sub and noise, which is what we've seen here. All in this section. And then we have our filter and 4 LFOs down here, and our envelopes, and then the effects is in a separate tab. Okay. We will change it up, by the way, from a basic sine wave, but I just really want to compare the most basic shapes here because it's not really been done before. Okay, this one's certainly got more oomph. Let's put this one up a second octave. Let's bring in some unison for this. Okay, and actually, you know what? I'm going to turn the filter. I'm going to turn the filter for this section. Oh, interesting. So I can't turn the filter off, but I don't believe it's actually operational at the minute in terms of Sektor. So in Serum, it's actually off. Okay, let's shape the attack a bit, similar to the other one. So like 10, was it? Oh, we're still on Sektor. No effects at all here. I'll just remove that just to be on the safe side. And then what was my values for the 113, 710, and sustain at full? 113. Could type these in, but I'm incredibly lazy. Sustain at full. And quite a long release. Okay, let's try and just gain stage them. Interesting how different Serum is, isn't it? Wow. Oh, crikey. There's Sektor. So their oscillators are quite different. Oh, I'm not missing a trick here, but we've got 6 voices, and on Serum we have three voices of unison. Let's increase it then. Detune. Yep, same amount there. So they're both sine waves. Yeah, it's exactly the same. Okay, and let's go to the last kid here, and I believe this is not called an initialized patch. It's a default. Okay, let's come out of here. So our engines are different here. They're in tabs along the top. And we need to go back to, we'll do analog, and we've got 3 analog oscillators, virtual analog oscillators per engine. And our unison is actually over here. So we have quite a different we do have quite a different layout with Pigments. We'll head into the wavetables, and here I'm going to pitch this up by 12 semitones. And let's shape it. This is our main envelope of VCA voltage control filter. About 110. Okay. Yeah, it was about 7. And then I had a very long release and sustain was at full. And again, a little bit hot there. And now I just need to detune this one. No, this is the wrong one, sorry. It's the one which is pitched up, which is detuned. 6 voices. Whilst Pigments sounds great, the only thing I'd have to say is Pigments is by far the most CPU hungry. Especially when you put loads of notes down, you know? It's a fantastic synth though. Okay. I believe everything's the same there. There's definitely the second one that's pitched up. So 6 voices. So here's Sektor, here is Serum, and here is Pigments, and we have exactly the same patch across all 3, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just checking I've got even the right retrigger modes. You can invert the wavetables on Oscillator A and B here, which is also super cool. I'm just absolutely trying to make sure. Yeah. So I feel like, yeah, Vital would be the only guy missing, but some part of me feels like this has got to be the sine wave has got a lot more harmonics than I would typically expect. It sounds good though. Okay, let's see if I can grab up a scope from, I'm sure there's a scope, yeah. So this is a scope. So here is Sektor. Running a little bit hot, apologies. And here is Serum. Sektor is quite a bit cheaper than Pigments. I've just seen your comment there. Okay, and here is Serum, which is a bit quiet. The oscillators are really, really different. Let's have a look on an EQ, Pro EQ. Okay, so basically for those of you who aren't aware, we've got our fundamentals, and the fundamentals here are generated in the harmonic series. And basically if I was to remove one of the oscillators, let's just turn one oscillator off on each. Which one is the one that's got the detune? Okay, let's turn off the oscillator on each synth that doesn't have the detune. Sorry, turn off the oscillator that does have the detune. There we go. So, just turn this off for now. So, Sektor, let's have a look at the fundamentals here. Just pull this down. So, main fundamental here at 200, and then we do have quite a few harmonics. Let's do the same thing here for Serum. Interesting. So, by the way, this stream wasn't my idea, it was Ian's stream, but really, really interesting. Something I've not really done, if I'm honest. So we are comparing three pads, but just what really is going to differentiate these is their interface and their experience, but also the waveforms. Serum is about as pure as you can get. Let's have a look at Pigments now. I'm really intrigued. This is interesting. Pigments is even slightly less harmonics again. So sine wave is supposed to be the most pure waveform, and then you get all your other additive synthesis is based off of multiple sine waves, etc., etc. So with one pure sine wave, you should really just have the fundamental and maybe a few surrounding harmonics. So here's Pigments, Serum, Sektor has a couple of harmonics here. So we got some interesting harmonic series happening, a bit of harmonic distortion. Still a great sounding waveform, but not as pure. So yeah, people asking about prices, by the way. Sektor is the cheapest. I think Serum is the runner-up. But then again, Pigments is always on a cheap deal. So keep your eye out for that. I'm sure there'll be one coming soon for Black Friday. So there we go. Interesting. Just to see what the waveforms are like, I'll leave that EQ on there just so we can come back to that if need be, but how interesting. So let's take these down. Yeah, I think everyone is interested. That's really it's interesting. I wonder where they get their waveforms from for each. So I guess they pick their sine waves from different places, but really you can create sine waves. You can actually create a sine wave just using any piece of technology. It doesn't have to be physically modeled using digital signal processing or AI from vintage synths or whatnot. Just for the sake of, have I got Vital on here? I'm super interested now because people are saying it. I'm not going to be creating pads with this, I'm afraid, purely because of time. But oh dear, not what I wanted. Oh, okay, we're not going to be doing Vital. I thought I had all the interesting. I thought I had all the waveforms on here because I've used it before. Yeah, I think Vital, again, if you know about the waveforms, let me know. But There we go. Okay, let's head back to Sektor, and now we need to see what does... So now we know that basically all three synths have a very similar architecture, and they have basically got similar, very, very similar features in terms of filters, envelopes, oscillators, and what differentiates them now is the sort of little things. Let's have a look then. So, Sektor... I'm going to turn back on the oscillator and oscillator A, which was detuned. You turn this down. So in the drive, the volume, the master section here, we have a drive control, which we don't on the others, but we can add them in other places. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ditch the analog. Going to move through some of the filters. Some of the oscillators. And we can scan the wavetable position, maybe. Wavetable. Maybe you can in here. Yeah, wavetable position we can scan through, which is great. So we could use a modulator to do that. Okay. This one's pitched up a bit higher. Some interesting waveforms here, some nice ones. So I'll keep one of them detuned. Okay, and we're going to keep a similar envelope to what we already have here. Just going to increase the attack. And something I thought was really nice with Sektor, by the way, was the effects that are on board. The reverb sounded really nice. I'm not sure if they've modeled it with the convolution reverb or something. Sounded really good. So we got low pass filter here. We can invert the filters. Interesting. Okay, so let's take LFO1 and do the most typical modulation, and let's apply it to the filters cutoff. Okay, let's change the speed of it. And let's leave the filter open for the most part. So really nice mod in Sektor. Drive the filter a bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the sub oscillator. So what makes Sektor different from the others I've noticed straight away is I can't change the sub oscillator for a different waveform. I'd imagine it would be here, but in Serum we have a choice of 6 different sub-oscillators, and in Pigments we have a sub-oscillator in the utility engine here, and we have 5 different. Interesting. So if there's a reason something is cheaper than something else, there's a reason. So got a little bit less optionality there on the sub-oscillator side of things, because I would have preferred to have a bit more choice over the type of sub-oscillator. Let's have a look at what samples we got. Factory. Okay, this is cool. Sound effects. What the strings like. Okay, they're awesome. Oh, we got some really good samples in Sektor. Nice, okay. I remember telling you before that, okay, so it's an algorithmic reverb, and we have convolution. Let's make this on LFO smoother. Just keep it in retrigger mode. So let's have a listen then. So this is on 6 voices currently. That synth patch, sorry, the string, universal string patch is really quite good actually. Okay, and let's try some more of these. Okay. Nice. That sample's carrying a lot of the weight here, listen. It's lost all the body. That's really great. Nice. Okay, interesting. Serum. Let's do the same thing. Again, I'm not going to pick the same oscillators now. I'm going to pick something different. So Serum's got a good selection of oscillators as well. They've got basic shapes, which is always a good starting point, to be honest. And you can view that's another thing with Pigments and Serum I've noticed, is you can view them in 3D. And I don't think you can in Sektor, but you can view them in Sektor in a really nice sort of vector scope where you can change the actual the incremental harmonics of the waveform, sort of like an additive engine. So let's do the same thing here with Oscillator B. Sorry, with Pigments. Basic shapes. I'm going to go through triangle, send them into A and B, send them into the filter. I'm a little bit more, well, a lot more familiar. I'm actually going to head into the combs, just for, so it's unconventional. And analog flow. I've already shaped the attack, and let's just change through a couple of these oscillators. Sample and hold. I'm wondering about the noise oscillator, atmospheric. That's nice. Sort of bell-like. Is that up 12? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take envelope 2 and apply this to the level of keep that up where it is then. Okay, I'm just going to scan through here. Okay, let's make this slightly faster attack. Okay, got 8 voices of polyphony here. Let's head into our typical low passes. I'll do the noise direct out. Okay, to use the LFO just like we did before. Not on the mix, sorry, on the cutoff. Want a slightly different chord chorus of JP. Okay, at a much slower rate. And Pigments has some rather good effects, but let's try and keep everything fairly balanced here. I have to say the reverb on Pigments is really good. What sort of made XFer such a notable name is their multiband compressor, which came into Serum and then they released it as the free OTT. The multiband here is basically using expansion or upwards compression to do the opposite of what compressors typically do. So it's actually taking the frequencies and amplifying them depending on which band you want to do more or less of. But it's a really good way of getting sort of like more life out of sounds. That's how the best way I've heard people describe it. And again, so what makes Serum different? So we got the different choices sub-oscillators. We have 3D vector scopes. And again, just purer waveforms, I'd say. Let's see, I can use it. Okay, and I think we had a chorus to the one. And I think the only other thing I'll do is add some distortion. Go for the old soft clip mode. And yeah, I quite like the routing here. Could do a lot more stuff in terms of shaping. One thing you did get in Sektor, which you got along in these guys, is in folders you got a lot of choices of sort of predetermined shapes and stuff if you're not as comfortable, which is cool. So let's check out this one. I could do with making hyper and dimension. I use quite a bit. Okay, so let's check this one out. It's pretty similar to the other one, but they are meant to be different. I'm not comparing the exact same power we did at the start, but let's have a listen. Right. Let's make this slightly faster on LFO1. Okay, something I do a lot with Serum is I'll grab an LFO and I'll put it on the course tune. I'm not sure if I've seen that on Sektor, so I'll have to go back. Okay, let's bring down the overall amplitude level. Fine tune as well. I'm gonna remove it from here for now. Remove modulator for 3. I think one thing that Sektor had going for it, but this is something you can really just do, is grab them from sample stores like ADSR, but I must admit the samples in Sektor in the noise oscillator were way better than what we have here. These are better for layering for percussion sounds. I've never been blown away with the noises that you get default with Serum, because we're talking purely just what comes with factory stuff here. We're not talking about third party. But that universal string patch on Sektor blew the noise oscillator out of the water here, so goodbye noise. But other than that, we got two different. I'm just looking for my sustain pad. Okay. And one thing I always love about Pigments is you can drive the filter, which is really nice. So let's head back into Sektor, and I'm wondering, do you have the drive on the filter, and do you have fine and coarse tune on the oscillators? So on the filter, we have a drive control, but that is different to the fat control, which beefs up the signal going into the filter. Okay, and on the analog filter, I can't see a fine or a coarse, but there will be at least a fine, I'm pretty sure. Drive, morph position. We got main pitch, so we don't, I believe that in the oscillators, level, detune. So there we go. Something different between Serum and Sektor is we don't have coarse or fine tune, which is quite a big feature actually. The reason being, it gets you closer to those sort of the non-linearities and sort of unpredictability of analog oscillators, if you will. I think I've done these in a good order, but unintentionally, because basically each synth has more than the other, but each synth costs more than the other. So Sektor, cheapest, and probably has the least amount of features. Serum, bit more expensive, more features. Pigments, more expensive, more features. Although I think Pigments comes up on offers all the time, whereas Serum is never on an offer. So if you're thinking of getting Serum, just grab it, because you won't really come across it at a different price ever. Sorry to be the breaker of bad news. Okay, so let's head into Pigments, and then that will probably conclude us nicely for the pads. And I think what we can take away from this is that it's really interesting. We just presume that all developers use, the same sort of waveforms, and a sine wave is a sine wave, but that is not the case, as we find out. They're all slightly different, like all of them are slightly different. Okay, it's wavetable time it's wavetable time here. Let's have a look at what we got. Splice does rent one for Serum, okay. Let's have a look through some of these fellas. Okay, let's go into the wavetable here. I'm going to go some... I find that I've got to admit, once you get into Pigments, it's the best in terms of modulation possibilities. So let's use, we've already got the envelope shape, let's use an LFO to modulate the position of the wavetable here. And you can do it in a number of ways. I usually click here and then drag the LFO's value up. And I want it to go back and forth between the two and put it into unipolar mode. So we get a nice blend there of a waveform between a sine and a triangle. Utility engine here, we have the oscillator, which I was talking about for below octaves. Okay, noise on here. Someone's saying Serum after all these years. Yeah, you gotta hand it, it's true. Steve Dudas did something right, didn't he, back 7 years ago? He's so ahead of the curve, and people are still trying to catch up. Got to admire him. This one feels the most Stranger Things. So at each stage, each synth has a different sort of set of features, but also compromises. Serum's biggest one has got to be its heritage and the fact that it's so well respected and it's just so easy to use. But then it doesn't have that second filter, which I always grumble about, whereas Pigments does, and it has a load of other things. But look at how hungry CPU is on my performance meter. With one instance of Pigments is like, help me. And this is a crazy powerful M1 Mac. I'm not even sure if I'm not sure if Pigments is Mac M1 compatible yet, but you're going to be able to produce the most interesting sounds here, but there's always something, isn't there, slightly. Okay, in the second wavetable, what I'm going to do is, rather than use a wavetable, use the harmonic engine. And I'm going to introduce more partials. You can do a window here. And what I like about this is I can send this into a second filter. So Pigments and Sektor both have that advantage over Serum. So I can take control of individual engines, a little bit more interesting. We've got different shapes here, spectrum shapes. Let me just pick a couple. Yep. Okay. Gotta admit that this makes some sounds that you just can't with anything else. I'm just changing the pitch range of each. Let's try this one pitched up instead. Trying to create a sort of future bass, melodic bass patch. Flumy. Okay, using the second LFO, let's modulate the cutoff of this. Come on, the plus sign's hiding itself. Change the routing here. Okay, let's change the rate here. Oh, I've added a modulator to the rate accidentally. I'm going to do the same thing with LFO. Filter 2. Okay, we recently had a good update here. And we received the OTT style multiband, let's be honest. Which is awesome though. It's really good. It's a little bit more advanced than either. Okay, harmonic engine, wavetable engine, utility engine. So we got a ton going on here. A ton. Sheesh. It's hungry. Whether I'm allowed 2 notes or not. Honestly, it's hungry. There's certain parts of Pigments that make it a little bit more CPU hungry, as you can see, because it's so advanced in terms of its engines. If I pull up the performance meter here, and Studio One is now optimized for M1, it's quite hungry. I've got plug-in nap on as well for ones that don't use it. Okay, so that's a big consideration that you got to have quite a powerful system in order to run it. And Serum, let's have a listen. Serum's doesn't really tickle the performance meter. It's optimized really well. We're going to be completely honest here on ADSR and say that One of the main things that people say about Pigments is it's CPU hungry, so just bear that in mind. I mean, look at the performance meter on Serum. It's not really anywhere as close, is it? Because there's so much less going on, I suppose. And then Sektor, I'm quite impressed with the patch in Sectors. I was sort of not overwhelmed, and then listening back now, it's okay. So Sektor is so CPU light. This is a huge. Honestly, that's a look at the performance meter on Sektor. Like, it's barely moving. It's wow. If they did one thing right, well, they did a lot of things right there, but Sektor is easily smashes out of the park here in terms of its optimization. Does Sektor have MPE? I don't. Actually, I think it might do, actually. You can find out for sure. Yes, there we go. It does have MPE. Just about everything's got MPE these days. So, I've just realised the time, but interesting. If you missed certain things there, go back and watch it, because we basically compared the waveforms and created an identical pad to begin with, and it was interesting how even the oscillators they differ from what is basically a wavetable synth from 3 different developers. Pigments, in summary, the most feature-rich, but the most CPU-hungry, so it comes at a cost. Serum, as someone else said, it's been around for ages. It still kind of holds its ground unbelievably well after all this time. Sektor, the cheapest. Probably the waveforms that I didn't favour the most, but ironically, at the end, it was the pad that I liked the most, and it was incredibly light on CPU. So the honest answer is there's no right or wrong here. You've got to figure out what works for you and your circumstances. So, yeah, grab them all. Okay, so let me quickly have a scan through the comments, guys. Yeah, a lot of people were surprised by the oscillators, as was I. Some harmonic distortion, absolutely. Does Sektor have an MSEG? I don't think it does. So MSEG's a type of envelope. No, it doesn't. It just has one envelope. Yeah, and the filters as well. So yeah, to answer your question, no, it doesn't. By the way, Vital's the one that we didn't test here, which is the free one, which is honestly fantastic as well. The mod matrix and LFOs in Serum are pretty good for making anything. I like making drums with Serum because it has an audio drag out feature. Yeah, the drag out feature from Serum is really, really cool. Drag and drop's like the way to go, isn't it, for workflow? I don't know if I'm surprised on what my mod presets are. I have decent chunk of presets. Never thought I'd check out the mods. Oh, interesting. Yeah, even if you grab a preset, we did a stream on this, but tweaking presets is another way to create your own sounds, even though you got an initial starting point to help you out. I use presets all the time, even though because sometimes you can lose inspiration, and it's good to it's like having a ghostwriter. Someone's created a sound, and then, it's nearly where you want it, and you just need to tweak it a bit. If Serum ever adds drag and drop in the sampler, does it not? Into the noise engine. Noise engine is drag and drop, LA Winter. Or maybe you mean somewhere different. And also, Serum has this insane thing where you can drag pictures, PNG files, into the oscillators, which I've never seen on anything else. Second filter in Serum can be added in the effects panel. Yeah, sort of similar approach. Yeah, I do get what you mean. I'd love to get that Pigments OTT. Yeah, I really think that Pigments could do that, because it's a really versatile. It's a bit more versatile than the multiband, the OTT from XFer, but I don't know if they released it. If it just feels a bit like a dig, You can just drag an audio file on the noise section of Serum. Oh, sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah, you can drag an audio file on the noise section. What did you mean? Did you mean drag a sample onto the oscillators, maybe? Again, I think you can drag an audio file directly into the wavetable section, though. Oh, you can't drag an audio file in the noise section? Why did I think you can? I could have swore you could. No, LA Winter. Oh, yeah, you can. I don't know if it's an update you need to do, but I can remember doing it. Yeah. So here is the waveform. The only thing is now I'm not sure where it's going to save it in terms of the folder, but I've done it before for sure. So you can drag them on to the noise oscillator. Maybe it's an update that you need to do, possibly. Yeah, it's been around for a little while. Just try out updating it, maybe, LA Winter. Anyway, we'll have to leave it there. So very interesting, guys. Let me know your thoughts. It's very interesting to compare three sort of different engines that seem similar but really are quite different. So I hope you have a great week. We've got new streams all week coming. Yeah, probably are in the Serum Nice folder, but at least you know now. And yeah, streams throughout the rest of the week, guys. And I'll catch you next week. Let us know if you'd like to see more of these comparisons. It doesn't have to be wavetable synths, as there may be different, like, I don't know, beat pads, like MPC style things, or it could be anything. Comparisons between, like, maybe you're debating getting this and this, or maybe you have both and you just use one instead of the other, you know. Let us know on the Discord, in the comments, etc, etc. So I hope you have a great week. My Mac just went into dark mode, which is a sign that it is late, and I will see you next week, guys. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you next week. Bye.